Hey there, this is Mark Fortin, Senior Solution Specialist with Toon with an expertise in compositing. In this video, we're going to take a look at blending modes and how they work in Harmony as well as how to correct them when they go wrong. Here I have a scene with a background and a bunch of light sources. And what I might want to do is make sure that these blend properly between the background and the layers on the front. If I render this, this doesn't quite look good. Everything looks very hazy and not like it was originally designed by a background artist. So let's take a look at our pieces first and understand what we're dealing with. So if I select a piece by piece with the transform tool, I can see what I'm selecting. So let's turn off this big orange light first. Now we can see the scene a little clearer. Still, it doesn't look quite right. The reason for that is that the original artist used blending modes in, say, maybe Photoshop or a different program, and then we don't have the same blending modes currently applied in Harmony 15. So the look is different since it wasn't performed the same way. What we want to do is add blending modes. So in your combine section, there's a blending module that you can then drag in. If we open up the layer properties for this, we can see that we have blend mode and SWF blend mode. Now, unless you plan on exporting to SWF mode, you don't need to worry about this whatsoever. However, if you do, you might want to make sure these match whatever we're going to put in our blend mode. The top one acts in Harmony 15. So right now, I can choose overlay for this mode right now, scrolling down my list until I get to overlay. And personally, I like to type in the name of the blend mode that I have so that I don't get confused just seeing blending everywhere inside my node view. So I will rename this to overlay. Now I won't see a change until I bring it up to it, so let's see. We have our lights over here. Let's apply it to the lamppost. Nothing will change in OpenGL, but if we render it, you can see that it changes the way that the light pixels interact with the background. So what essentially is happening is that the pixels in the light are blending to whatever is behind it and affecting it a different way. If you were to use a blend mode that said add, what that does is it takes the pixels from the top layer and the ones from the bottom and adds them together, resulting in a brighter picture. Now if I take a multiply mode, it takes the fractional value of the pixels from the top and the bottom, multiplies them together, which results in a darker picture. And each of these different blend modes can be explained in various online documents, so I won't go over all of them, just so you understand that getting a better picture, you can choose from overlay, screen, hard light, and whatnot, and get different results in your scene. Now one thing that's important to notice is that if for some reason your overlay blend mode isn't going all the way through the background, you won't see it appear as it does right now. For instance, you can see that this is only a fraction of the scene. The background that we want to blend to is underneath. If I flatten this composite before the blend mode gets to affect the background, we're going to get some very weird results. So as you can see, the overlay is blending to completely transparent pixel, which makes the result black. And the reason for that is that the composite is not passing through the pixels. Anytime you have a bitmap that's rectangular shape, it's a bitmap composite that doesn't let pixels through. So whatever you want to blend to, you have to make sure that it's either within the same composite flattened before, or that it passes through to whatever pixels you want to show. So if I make this back to a pass-through, I get the result I want, or if I simply had the background in here, I would be having the same result. The reason is that the background is in the same composite and it gets flattened after the fact, not before. So just remember that pixels need to pass through, otherwise the blend modes will not apply properly. So what we might now want to do is maybe make sure that this is back at the bottom and put these in pass-through, because each of these has actually been coded to work with an overlay mode. So let's do this to one individually. I've turned back my big orange light and I'm just going to copy this over. So you can see that the orange light is now blending over everything else. Let's add it to this light, let's add it to that light, and let's add it to this light. So now we have a scene that's fully lit. All of these blend modes are blending properly in render view. If we look at it normally, it still looks kind of weird. But instead of doing it individually, we could always just do it to the bottom one and simply delete the other ones. We'll get the same result because all of them are using one single blend mode over top the main background. And as long as it's not flattening before it hits the background, those pixels are passing through the math operation of the blend mode all the way to the bottom layers.